Welcome. Build Out here. Super excited about this video. Today's video is called PMO Crisis Management, Strategies for Unexpected Challenges. So here's the question for you right off the bat. Has a project in your PMO ever gone sideways? Are unexpected challenges thrown your PMO into chaos, a complete mess? Don't worry, you're not alone, and more importantly, you're not powerless. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through some ways that I've handled PMO crisis management, so you can lead with confidence and everything feels like it's not falling apart. You're going to be okay. If you're new here, my name is Bill Dow. I've built and ran 10 PMOs over the last 20 years, and some in a very complex organizations. My first PMO was 2002, 2003 timeframe, and I still run a large PMO today. And I also make mistakes. So let's be clear with you. Crisis is going to happen. The more projects in your PMO, the more potential crisis. It's not a question of if it will happen, it's when. And trust me, over 20 years of running PMOs, it is when. But how do you handle it, right? You can pivot quickly, protect your portfolio, and come out stronger on the other side when that does happen. So let's get into some practical strategies you can use right now. So let's get into the evolving PMO landscape and adjusting to uncertainty. So let's set the stage. In 2025, right, PMOs are operating in environments that are more digital, more volatile, more complex than ever, right? AI is right around the corner. And we're dealing with agile transformations, right? Happening mid-project. Oh, we want to go agile now. I've seen that. Remote and hybrid teams across time zones, countries, right? We're seeing that. Tight budgets, inflation-sensitive markets, right? In the US, the market's all over the place. And let's not forget the rise of AI-driven delivery tools that can help or confuse our project teams, our executives, right? So yes, the modern PMO must evolve fast, and that includes building resistance for crisis management, right? Figuring out how to deal with crises. So what throws your PMO into crisis? You can't manage a crisis if you don't understand the triggers. Let's break some of those down. I really think there's three. First, technology disruptions, right? Your portfolio runs on software. Outages, failed upgrades, or cybersecurity attacks can really throw your whole operation into a standstill. I've seen an entire quarter roadmap go off track because the platform was down, right? Economic pressures, budget cuts, these tariffs being off and on, right? Reallocation of funds. Suddenly your resources are pulled midstream and your team is expected to do more with less. Or people are going to new roles and they're not backfilling those roles. Does that sound familiar? Resource constraints, right? A team member leaves, a vendor disappears. A skill gap that you thought you could manage through now becomes a roadblock, right? So these are just three of the triggers, right, that constantly come up. But there's other triggers out there, of course. And so you as a PMO leader, you need to navigate, understand the triggers, and then understand how you can build a proactive framework. So how do you do that? How do you build a proactive framework? That's where many PMOs fall short. They wait until they're under fire and then they bring the extinguisher to try to solve that. You can't do that. The first thing you have to do is establish clear communication channels, right? Crisis loves confusion. So you want to set up an escalation chain. You want to make it crystal clear who owns what in the heat of a crisis, right? Use Teams, use Slack, use text messaging, use email, whatever it takes, right? Make sure you have a primary communication and backup. And then implement a crisis response plan. What is your standard operating procedure for crisis, right? It should include instant reporting, decision-making hierarchy, Who signs off on what? Time frame for status updates, right? This may include legal and compliance team in your planning of this process. You don't want surprises when external vendors or data are involved, right? You have to stay on top of that. You also want to conduct regular simulations. I love this, right? Run a crisis drill once a quarter, right? Simulate a ransom attack or a portfolio delay. Identify gaps that happen that you can then close those gaps when a crisis occurs, right? Responding to crisis and what to do when it actually hits. So when a crisis hits, speed matters, but so does strategy. So here are some strategic things I would do. A rapid assessment, right? Gather the facts. What's the impact? Who and what is affected by that? What projects are at risk because of this crisis? Create a temporary war room. We've done war rooms and these gathering rooms for a long time, especially on go lives. You could do it for crisis. Get your PMs, get your sponsors, get your key leadership together. Evaluate what has happened here. Use real-time data, right? Don't make gut calls. Make data decisions, driven decisions, right? Tools like Power BI, right? They're all going to give you that live snapshot of how portfolio health, or smart sheets, right? This is why your PMO dashboards are so important, and they're more important when crisis occurs, right? So you got to be constantly watching that because your execs will be watching that. You want to have really transparent stakeholder communications. Update your sponsors early and often. Don't sugarcoat. Be direct. Let them know you're in it, you have a plan, you're leading it, and you're driving this forward. You want to build trust by owning the problem and then trying to really drive that problem to conclusion. Then what happens is when you're done, you've got a post-crisis reflection, right? You want to learn what happened. You don't want to blame anyone, but when the crisis is over, you really want to start thinking about documenting everything. What happened? What worked? What didn't work? Right? Capture lessons learned in a very structured format and use those retrospectives and store that information so you can refer back to that when another crisis occurs. Conduct a root cause analysis, right? So the crisis occurred and you're done now. What was the root cause of that? Don't just fix a symptom. Find the source. What was it? Poor planning? Was it a missed skill? Was it a process gap? And then what you want to do is foster a culture of adaptability, right? Encourage your team to speak up. Reward proactive behavior. Make resilience part of your PMO DNA, right? In 2025, the best PMOs are adaptive. They're not reactive. You've got to stay in front of this conversation. So, some final thoughts. Let's face it, right? Crises aren't going away. As long as you have projects, you're going to have some crisis. But with the right mindset, the right structure, and leadership, your PMO can handle anything that comes its way. Remember, a strong crisis management strategy just doesn't protect your project. It elevates your entire organization, and it puts a ton of trust in your PMO. If you like this video or you like this type of information, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, right? Drop a comment below. I'd love to know how your PMO tackles crisis, right? Do you have crisis management strategies in place, and what do you do about it in your organization? Again, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you online. Thanks.